Hi, thanks for clicking on the video. I'm hoping you'll find this useful. And if you've clicked on this video, I hope you might find what I've got to say informative, beneficial, and hopefully be able to point you in the right direction. So if you're in a situation like I was a year ago, you might find some comfort in it, if that's the right word. So today's a big day for me. It's 1 year sober. Uh, I stopped drinking 1 year ago today. Decided to stop for health reasons mainly. Nothing serious. Weight probably. I never had my vitals checked. Something that I have just done. But decided that it was no good for me and decided that it was time to kick it. So today's 1 year. I have been using various tools to sort of like celebrate the successes. One really useful tool, or really useful app, that fundamentally I've been using for the last year. I've not opened it today because I didn't want to peak too early. I didn't want to be rush ahead and do it because I felt I wanted to say this video first. And if you're watching this video, hopefully you've clicked on the thumbnail. If anybody clicks on the thumbnail, no one might not actually watch the video. If which so, I'm talking to a camera on my own. But I thought that I just wanted to express my excitement for being sober for a year. And hopefully this video might help other people. And if I could do it, you can do it type thing. So a little bit of a history on me. Like most people, I drunk as a teenager. Never too much. I used to go out with my friends, nightclubs, pubs, that type of thing. But I always found I had an inbuilt barrier, a barrier whereby my mind would tell my body to stop drinking. It was either because I was running out of money. Many a night, with friends scraping together to buy a double of whiskey to share type of thing. But I always found that there was a point that I sort of stopped because I was worried that I wouldn't be able to look after myself, get home and things like that. So, as a teenager and into my 20s, I felt I was sensible with drink. And then whilst I was at college, I got a job in my local off license, and started to sort of discover wine, discover the pleasures of wine, not on a drunk level, but the difference between a Cabernet Sauvignon and a Merlot, or a Chardonnay, or a Sauvignon Blanc, or a wine from France, or a wine from Africa, or a wine from California. I sort of started working there in the late 90s, into the early noughties, where I actually owned a franchise with them. So alcohol was readily available. And even then, from when I was still living at home with my parents, to sort of early 20s, to when I got together with my now wife, wine was always around. It was always there in the fridge waiting for me. It was always the first thing I did when I walked through the door at night. Pour myself a glass of wine, then say hello to my family, whether that be my mother or father, or whether that be my wife or daughter. And I sort of just sort of become part of my life, really. In sort of like 2004, I sold the business, and then went into retail and the business I'm in now, but still carried on drinking, still carried on enjoying drink, enjoyed the taste of wine, and enjoyed sort of like the pleasure, maybe get home from work, have a glass of wine brings you down. It was that psychological, that mental side of it that I felt that I had. I was never a vodka in the shower in the morning sort of person. So I always associated the alcohol with being something I did in the evening. And I didn't have a problem. But I think looking back on it now, I did. I remember many a times driving to my local supermarket, well out of the way of where I needed to go, just to get a bottle of wine, because the thought of having no alcohol in the house that night, or not having a bottle of wine that night, was just wasn't going to happen. Many a times when I wanted to give up, I'd get home, no wine in the house. 10 minutes later, 5 minutes later, half an hour later, I'd be in the car down to the local supermarket buying a bottle of wine because it made me feel better. Um, so I carried on drinking. And there were certain circumstances where I can remember one time where I don't think I was over the limit. But I know the night before, it was probably around about a Christmassy sort of time, I think, maybe just before. Um, I'd had about two bottles of wine, maybe a couple of chasers afterwards. And then the next day I was out doing some work. And I remember coming out of a Starbucks and going to go around the roundabout to where I wanted to go and seeing some police cars. And they were stopping and breathalyzing people because I think it was around Christmas. And I remember going around the roundabout then, carried on going around the roundabout in the opposite direction because I didn't know whether I was still over the limit or not. I don't think I was, but you know, it could take a while for alcohol to get out of your body. I was probably stopped drinking around midnight and then started. Went to work at about sort of 7 o'clock in the morning. So this was probably about 9 o'clock. So a good sort of 9 hours, but I just didn't know. Um, so yeah, I mean, sort of all the way from sort of the noughties or the 90s up until sort of 2018. I was drinking, you know, bottles of wine a night, probably two bottles of wine a night, um, which actually equated up to, I think, probably about 720 bottles of wine. I've actually produced a little image or got AI to produce a little image of what that would look like. And sort of takes you back when you see what that actually looks like. I'll put it up on the screen. Um, so we get to 2018. 2018, I got sort of back into my fitness. I had run my first half marathon back in 2011, but I was still drinking, not whilst running, although that might have made the pain a bit easier. But I was still drinking when I got home at night, which obviously was doing no good to my, running performance. But 2018, New Year, gave up alcohol, met some really good chaps. And actually was completely sober for 6 months until I went to Le Mans. It's something that me and my brother do yearly. We go to Le Mans, have a good time. And when I was out at Le Mans, I decided to have a glass or two. Glass or two became sitting next to the guys next door. I think we must have drunk a 3 litre bottle of red wine, being sick that night and then thinking the next day, why am I doing this? Stopped, didn't drink anymore. But then coming back home, I sort of said to myself, look, you're still on holiday. You're still in Le Mans, even though I wasn't. So why not go to the supermarket and get a bottle of wine? Because we can finish tomorrow. We can start again tomorrow, back on the bandwagon or off the bandwagon. But that didn't happen. I had that bottle of wine that night. That bottle of wine became a bottle of wine the next night, the next night, the next night, and that became two bottles of wine. And that carried on for 5 years, I suppose. Yeah, was probably five. It was 5 years if it was 2000 beginning of 2004 that I stopped drinking. So 1st of January 2004, I stopped drinking. Yeah, it was quite hard. I'll be honest with you. I was surprised that I was able to do it. Those first few months were quite hard. I had not some help, but I quickly tried to disassociate my alcohol. I mean, first of all, things I was doing was like alcohol-free gin, so gin and tonic. That was my treat at night. So, when I would get home from work, I would pour myself a non-alcoholic gin and tonic, or might have a 0% Guinness, which I still do today, to be honest. I don't think that was ideal for me over the first few months. I think that maybe not you, but I needed to break that association with alcohol. And I believe that non-alcoholic alcohol, if that makes sense, doesn't break that association. I think that you still are getting home at night and having a glass of sparkling kombucha, or having a Guinness Zero, or having a non-alcoholic gin, and that in my mind was still alcohol. So after about 2 months, I decided no more. So I swapped that out and actually got some tins of kombucha, um, some iced tea, and my favourite tipple sort of first thing in the mornings was Perfect Head, a matcha based energy drink. So those are sort of like the three drinks that I sort of weaned myself off alcohol, and then we got to Le Mans again. So Le Mans was probably my first big test of 2024. We went off again. We stay on a private campsite. There's alcohol everywhere. There's people drinking everywhere. Not stupidly, but I took a Yeti case with me full of, Guinness Zero. I probably hadn't had any Guinness Zero up until probably about 4 months. So actually having Guinness Zero and having like Peroni Zero or Kronenberg Zero, because you disassociate your taste buds with the taste of alcohol, you sort of like, you forget what alcohol tastes like or forget what beer tastes like. So if you had, I mean, Guinness is different because it actually really does taste like alcoholic Guinness, if I can remember. But like drinking a non-alcoholic Peroni next to an alcoholic Peroni, there's a clear flavour difference. I've never found a non-alcoholic wine, and I don't think I ever will find a non-alcoholic wine. I don't want to. But having those non-alcoholic Guinnesses was a treat, and I quickly became used to the non-alcoholic beer. And it was a nice treat in Le Mans. When I got back from Le Mans, sort of like July, August, working in the garden, didn't really have any non-alcoholic beers and wines and stuff in the house, but found that I craved that beer from doing some work in the garden. So got some non-alcoholic beers. Again, I wanted to break my association with beer, but I think because we were well over 7 or 8 months into the year, I think that association had gone. I'd forgotten the flavour of that beer and I'd forgotten the flavour of that wine. So actually, having a non-alcoholic Peroni while sitting in the garden after mowing the lawn was enjoyable. It was a treat, and it was a break from the norm of the iced teas and the kombuchas, which I really do enjoy. And I suppose if I look back on it, I suppose I can honestly say it's the best thing I've ever done. It's been great for my health. It's been great for my sleep. I lost nearly 2 stone in weight. I've not really been on a diet per se. My chocolate consumption's gone up, which is my New Year's resolution. Can never not stop fighting something. But yeah, I lost about 2 stone in weight. Sleep, oh my God. I have gone from being a night person into being a morning person. I'm quite regularly asleep. And when I go to sleep, I go to sleep. My wife even says, I can't believe how quickly you can go to sleep when your head hits the pillow. And I feel great for it. I get most nights 7-8 hours sleep. And that and the alcohol, that and the non-alcohol and the losing weight. Yeah, I feel I'm in a much better place than I was a year ago. I just wanted to sort of like, I don't know, say to people who might watch this video who are struggling with addiction or struggling with giving up alcohol, it is possible. I didn't think I could. I've tried several times to do it, and I have not been able to do it. But a year in, I've done it. I don't miss it. I don't want it. I don't need it. I've been past all those calendar dates. So, the latest ones being Christmas and New Year. I've been around people that have drunk. I do networking stuff for business. And I think we're in an era where actually not drinking is a lot more acceptable than it was previously. So you can do it. You might not think you can do it. But as someone who was drinking 2 bottles of wine a night and wasn't getting drunk, I could even have a couple of chases after it, still wasn't getting drunk, which is not good. And I believe that anybody can do it. I don't think that everybody should give it up. I think that there are people out there who drink and enjoy drink and can live and drink alcohol. My wife's one of them. She could have a glass of wine. I always felt better because she had a glass of wine, because I wasn't the one drinking the whole bottle of wine, because she had about this much. But I think for me, I have that addictive personality, and I believe that for me, my life is much better without it. And I believe that anybody in a similar situation to me can have a really cool life with it. I see lots of videos with people saying, "Oh, they might not drink again. They might drink again. They might have a drink at social occasions in the future." I don't think I will. I think alcohol's done for me. I don't want it. I don't need it, and I don't think I could. Handle's a bad word, but I don't think I want to go back down that rabbit hole again. And I think if I have a glass, that will become two, that will become three, and then I'll get back into that association of having it. I don't need it. And I don't think that if you're watching this video and you've clicked on this video and you want to quit drinking, I don't think you need it as well. But that's up for you to decide. For me, I said I had a couple of months of doing me non-alcoholic gins and me zero Guinness. This I haven't actually touched since probably 2 months into sober. Guinness I haven't really had in the house until just previously, because we went through the festive period and I just fancied something different than my kombuchas, my iced teas, and my perfect Eds. Yeah, and I wanted to do the video to sort of like hopefully be something someone could watch. One thing I did find really useful on my phone was an app called I Am Sober. It is a chargeable app. I think you pay for a year. It was around about £50 if you're in the UK, and it was good because what it did was it showed you milestones. The milestone of today is a year. I've not opened it yet, but actually, I think that what was quite good was it gave you milestones like 1 week, I think 1 month. There was also a social media element to it. And I think that was really useful for me because I was heavily involved in the social media side of it at the beginning and participated and reading. And you realise that drinking 2 bottles of wine a night and maybe some chasers, although is not good for your body, there was a lot of people out there who you were reading of who were like, especially those first few days, why do you want to stop drinking? And they were, I can remember one which was, I want to stop drinking because when I drink, I take drugs. I then smash my flat up or try and commit suicide. And I think there's a lot of people out there who hopefully have found the app useful and hopefully have turned the page in their lives into being sober and not relying on alcohol. So I've not actually opened the app today because I wanted to do it live on camera with you guys because it sort of celebrates the fact that you've done it. I don't know what I'm going to get today. I'm hoping for like big celebrations and Catherine wheels going off and things like that. I don't think I'm going to get that, but the figures that it gives you are quite interesting and quite sobering to look at. So let's turn on screen record and we'll look at it together. So right, screen record is going. So let's go into our I Am Sober app. So there we go, checking in. You've reached a new milestone, alcohol free for 1 year. Let's review. So this is quite good. So every day it basically gets you to sort of review and say whether you have or haven't drunk alcohol. Obviously, not done this for a few days. At the beginning, I was doing it every day, but I don't think I need to do it every day. So let's hit next. There you go. Milestone reach. Keep celebrating your victories. You've earned it. Alcohol free for 1 year. So here we go. So if we look, here we have been, from when I started the app, we have been 1 year, 2 hours, 40 minutes, and 30 seconds since my last drink. Actually, it was longer than that because I didn't start doing the app till about 9 o'clock in the morning. But I think the last drink I had was probably New Year's Eve at about 9 p.m. Um, I've been alcohol free for 1 year, which obviously is 366 days, 65 days. Anyway, we'll go with what is this 366 days. And I started my sobriety according to the app on the 1st of January 2024 at 9:11 a.m. Again, it wasn't. It was actually the 31st December 2023 at probably about 10 p.m. But I probably had alcohol in my body till about 9 a.m. What I found really useful is when you come down here. So your next milestone is 400 days. This is something it does really useful. It sort of eggs you on. I mean, it says you and 9,000 other people will reach this milestone. Unfortunately, you do find that people drop off over the period of the year, which is for whatever reason they haven't stayed. But the big one for me is the figures. So if I click on these, you'll see that based on 2 bottles of wine, so about £20 a night, about £10 a bottle, I've saved £7,320, which when you look at that, that's a good chunk of change. But the big one for me is the calories. If we click over to the next page, I mean, for me, that's mind-blowing. Just shy of 500,000 calories, 457,500 calories that I've not consumed based on 2 bottles of wine, 2 bottles of red wine, at 2,500 calories a day. I mean, that's pretty significant. I mean, if you equate that, and I started doing this at the beginning and putting it on social media, but I thought people were getting fed up with it, so I stopped. So what I did was I started equating that to, burgers. Because when I was part of something with some guys, I always said that, you wouldn't have your meal and then go out and have a McDonald's or KFC. And by drinking, a bottle of wine or 4 cans of beer, that's exactly what you're doing. Someone could work that out for me. I'll put it in the comment below. That's a significant saving. Yeah, that does blow my mind and still blows my mind to this date. And I found this app really useful. It has its community side to it. I won't stay on that for long because it's obviously people's private information. And that I felt the community was really good. And yeah, and I'm glad I'm here. Yeah. 1 year sober. For whatever reason you're watching this video, if it's to get inspiration, if it's to see someone who's been through it, thanks for watching. I'll put the links in the description below, to the side, or wherever they are these days on YouTube, of what I was using, what apps I was using, what I found useful. But I just wanted to awkwardly share this information. I didn't want to over edit it. I didn't want to over produce it. I just wanted me sitting on my sofa at home, just talking about, the fact of where I was, where I've been, and where I am now, and hopefully give people a little bit of comfort or a little bit of assurance that, I've gone from 2 bottles of wine a night to completely sober for a year. If I could do it, you can do it. So reach out to me if you need some help and advice. If you've got a question, leave a comment below. I will promise, within reason, I will come back to everybody that leaves a comment. No one might actually watch this video and I might not get any comments, but I feel good in a getting it off my chest sort of thing. I felt like I had to do this video. And it was a next stage in my sobriety to do this video. So yeah, good luck. Yeah, good luck. I believe anybody can do it, But then I also believe people can drink and have a great life with alcohol and not be addicted to it. So good luck. Let me know how you get on. This might be my first of many videos. It's the first video I'm doing on my own YouTube channel. I have a couple of YouTube channels for work. Yeah, good luck. Reach out, leave a comment. But good luck. Thanks for listening.